and welcome to this month's Project Home DIY. I'm Christine, the owner and curator of your Project Home boxes. It's September now. I cannot believe it, already 9 months into the ever-defining year of 2020. We have only a few months left of this year and super exciting holidays coming up. Most everybody's favorite holidays are coming up, and we have some really fun things planned, starting with our fall pumpkin duo box. So let's get started. Alright, so if you're new with us, you have a new starter kit inside your box. It includes the essential items you will use on the majority of your projects every single month. So make sure that you don't throw away the paintbrush, keep the sanding block, and just keep this stuff easy, ready to use. We will be needing the glue gun for this project, and the paintbrush, and the sanding block. So make sure you get that glue gun out and ready to go, and plugged in, and we'll just unbox. So we have our 3 colors of paints that are classic fall colors that our VIP group requested. If you're not part of our VIP group, make sure you join us. At the bottom of your instructions, there's a QR code. It's to join our VIP group, and you can join right there. There's lots of sneak peeks of upcoming projects. You get to decide on things like colors, all sorts of stuff. So make sure you join that. You have your jute, your burlap, 50 wooden beads, fun little leaf cutout, your 2 pumpkins, and your fall block. So quite a bit of work this month, but don't worry, you will be able to do it in a cinch, I promise. So let's begin with our fall pumpkins and our fall word. So there is going to be 1,000 different ways that you can do this, and I cannot wait to see the creative designs you've come up with to paint and color these things. Super open to anything, and just like last month, we're going to have hundreds of different kinds. It's going to be so fun to see. Again, join the VIP group so you can see those things. With your paint, this is a dark brown, and this is a pretty white color, but it does turn has a little warm to it. So with these, the brown and the white, you can mix them and make a tan color also. So I wanted to give you that option. To start with your paints, and this is why we're going to do these pieces first, I would use 3 different bowls, and this will work into dyeing the beads at a later point. But to start with, we will, I got water in one of my bowls, take 3 bowls and pour out each color into the bowl completely. First, I'm going to take my sanding block out of the starter pack and sand all the edges of the wood off a little bit, so it's just a little bit smoother. Okay, I got the two ivory ones painted, or white colors, just wiping up. And I'm going to switch to green, but I'm going to put this paintbrush in water, so that is taken care of. I won't get wrecked, because I've wrecked plenty. And paint this pumpkin green. There we go. So now I will let those three dry, and once those are dry, we can paint the designs on them and add our fall word, and then go to the beads. You don't want to go to the beads yet because we will thin down this paint for the beads, and if you thin it down, your designs on your pumpkins may not turn out as well as you like. So just wait to do the beads fully until the pumpkins are completely done. So I'm going to let those dry, and I will be back. Back with our dried pumpkin and sign. And I will start with, doesn't really matter here at all, just your choice. But each one you can feel is a little rough. So go ahead and sand those down again so they kind of smooth out. Paint has water in it. Water makes grain, moisture makes grain rise, so that's why they become a little bit rough after painting. So just sand that down a little bit. Okay, and depending on the look you like, you can continue sanding more around the edges so then the edges look worn, but you can also do this after you put your designs on. So either rustic them now if you like that, or don't if you don't. I am going to do it after as well. I will just do some of my designs now and then some later. So again, I'm going to do stripes, brown stripes on this, and ivory polka dots on that green one. I'm going pretty basic with mine, but you have all of the freedom in the world. And for my stripes, I'm just winging it this time because I like the more informal look. If you want a modern, clean look, then definitely use a painter's tape to tape off lines. That'll give you crisp, clean lines. But for me, this time, I just want like kind of straight, wispy little lines. So I'm just gonna wing it kind of. And I'm not gonna make sure anything is perfect. By no means. I would like uneven edges, and I'm going to carry it through to the side, around the side as well. So that is how I'm going to paint mine. And I'm going to paint the full stem brown. Again, this time I'm not worrying too much about it being exactly perfect because I like the unevenness, farmhousey, rustic look. So even like this little stem, stems are pretty imperfect in nature, so I'm going to keep it that way. Okay, so there is my brown pumpkin. And I'm going to make it, once it's dry completely, I'm going to sand off these edges and make it really rustic and worn looking. There he is. Can't get it to stand right now. Okay, and here I'm going to do, I'm going to rinse my paintbrush. And I'm going to paint the polka dots. There's my polka dots. So I have the stripes and polka dots. It's coming together. Okay, for the fall word, take your vinyl stencil and peel the white sticker backing off. That reveals the fall word. And then you're going to place the sticker part down on the wood just by eyeballing it. Kind of look at the bottom. I'm looking right here to make sure that the distance between the bottom of this F is the same as the bottom of the L to the bottom of the wood. And then I look at the top. And this graphic is pretty forgiving because really the letters are not all perfect and straight, so I love that. And then we're just going to smooth this down really good. Try not to shake the table too much and knock my pumpkins over. You can use a credit card if you have something smooth to smooth that down with. Use the edge of the sanding block. Nothing too special. And then I'm going to use an X-Acto blade and just peel up the one corner of the transfer tape, which is not super easy to do with an X-Acto knife. I have another tool that I use that works much better, but just peeling up that corner of the transfer tape and peel that back. Don't peel super fast that you peel up the letters. And there's your word. Smooth that down nicely. And then I'm looking at my pumpkins. I'm really liking that green. So I think I'm going to change and I'm going to do this in green because I really like it. So I really want to do the green. I like it a lot. So I'm just going to paint over those words in the green. One nice smooth coat should be fine. And let this fully dry, and then you can peel off the black paint, or the black stencil, and throw that away because it is not a reusable stencil. Just one time. And now we can start with our beads. So I'm going to move these to the side. I I super love them already. They're really cute. And I wanted to go with, the brown has a lot of gray in it. I didn't want a warm brown, so I went with a darker brown, and I love it. Okay, so there's 2 sizes of beads in here. Should be roughly around 25 of each. So just what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of the smaller beads and dye them white, and then I'm going to take half of the larger beads, do green, and half brown. So that's how I'm going to lay mine out. Before you start this, take apart your box, and this is a great drying surface for the beads. And then you'll also want a pencil or a paper clip or something to get the beads out of the bowl of dye when they're ready to come out. So make sure you have something like that handy. Okay, that's what I'll be using. And also think about your leaf, what color you want this. This is going to be the charm that goes at the end of your beaded garland. So if you wanted a certain color, maybe you want this side green, maybe you want this side brown, totally your choice, whatever you would like. Maybe you're gonna do a little bit of both and get really artsy on me. I don't know, but I'll leave that up to you, but don't forget to paint the leaf. I think I might just leave it natural because I kind of like that color, but it's totally up to you how you want to do it. So I'm going to take all the small beads out. Okay, and I'm going to take the white bottle, and I can see there's about that much left in it, and fill it with about that much water. So 1/4 of the way full of water. It's kind of hard to see, I get that, but just put a little water in it. The trick here is not to dilute the paint too much, because then it won't be thick enough on your beads. You may have to dye them twice, but just don't add too much water. So shake it around, that'll mix and get the rest of your paint out. Move this a little bit closer. I go about that right now. And I don't have anything good to mix with, so I'm just going to use the end of the paintbrush. Okay, that looks pretty good. So it just thins the paint out just a little bit. And then put all the little, depending on what color you choose to dye. Again, I'm doing all of my middle one, or all of my white, the small ones white. And then put them all in. Just like that. Move those. And then just swirl this around. Voila, painted beads. And now we have to get these sitting up onto there. And I'm going to use the end of a paintbrush. Just stick it in the hole. Kind of work its way up. And just set it right on the end of the cardboard. Or of the end of the bead. Just set it right up on there. And then halfway through these drying, you can put them in a dryer. So put an air dryer on them. If you have a fan, little fan, put a fan on them. It'll help up your dry time, speed up your dry time, and won't take so long. Put a fan on them, and then when you see the tops dry, go ahead and flip them over and let the bottoms dry as well, because they will be a little bit damp on the underside. So make sure you do that. So all the white are out, and move them back over. Again, save your white paint. If you have to do touch-ups, don't get rid of it just yet. Now I'm going to do half in half of the big ones in the green and half in the white. So adding a little, or half in the brown. Adding a little bit of water to my paint bottle. Get more of that paint out. Adding that. Mix with my handy dandy into my paintbrush. Okay, so go ahead and let those dry. Look at these colors, I'm loving it. So perfect. Okay, let those dry. And once they are dry, we'll work with them and put them on our string. I did notice when these fell over earlier, not just that time, but before, they did get a little bit messed up. But this is the thing about an X-Acto knife. You need one of these. They're amazing. But you can just literally take it and scrape up that line and fix it up. You see how I fixed that? A little tiny bit of work right there. And now I'm going to take the white and my little paintbrush and cover that right back up. No big deal whatsoever. So get an X-Acto knife if you don't have one. They are amazing for everything. Now, I do think I'm going to do a double-sided leaf. So I'm going to paint my leaf really quick. And then we will do a couple of the burlap bows that will go, the messy bows that I'm going to put on the pumpkins and kind of just mess with that stuff, see where we get. So to paint this leaf, I don't want to drag my paintbrush edge around any of the edges because it'll just fill with paint. If I just go like this, it'll just fill with paint. So I'm using the side of the paintbrush and dabbing. And I'm going to set that up on its edge just against something to dry. That's painted. And now we'll mess with the bows and see where we get. So I'm going to make a messy bow this time, just for on maybe both pumpkins. I don't know. See how it goes, see what I like. You have tons of burlap here. You have 5 meters, so you have 25 feet of burlap to work with. I think you'll have enough. I think you'll be happy with the amount. So I'm going to cut about 6-inch strips. This is a brand new way that I have never done before, but we're going to try it. So there's that. I got 4 strips. I already like the look of it. That looks awesome. So I kind of just laid them out like that, spaced them out a little bit. I really honestly don't know what I'm doing, but we'll see. So I'm going to try to find the end of the twine roll. Ooh, it's like finding a needle in a haystack. Holy buckets, that was lucky. There's one. Okay, you see there's a knot right there. So then I'm going to cut a bunch of strings, like the same amount of length or so, just a bunch. Okay, so there's that. And then these will kind of go in here. If you have different kinds of ribbon you want to add to this, you can totally add tons of different colors and stuff to these messy bows. I'm going to take one of these pieces and tie it all together in the center. Sneak it under here. And tie it all together right there in the middle. Super cute. I think I like it. I love it being all messy. And then you can kind of just bend it and open it up. That's super fun. And I'm going to dovetail all of these, which means fold the ends together and cut in towards the center, and you'll make a little dovetail. The fun thing about burlap is it's so forgiving. There's nothing, like, it just looks good. If you like that look, I like it. I like the misshapen ends and all the strings everywhere. I personally like that look. Oops, one of my strings came out. That's okay. So I am going to put some glue, some hot glue. Oops, I don't want to spill my water. In the center to kind of keep those ends from coming out. Tip, my favorite one, lick your fingers before you touch hot glue. Hot glue will leak through burlap, so don't touch it barehanded. You will be sad panda. Okay, there's the leaf, and then this little guy is gonna go right on there. If you make your bow too big, you can adjust it. Just cut it down a little bit. Or I guess some people believe what bow could ever be too big, but there is one of them. And for this one, I'm thinking, I haven't finished planning this, but I kind of want to do maybe just a burlap or a jute wrap around the edges of it. So I'm not going to go on these little points because that's what it has to stand on. So kind of, if you choose to do this, stay away from those points. But I'm just going to add burlap to it, just like that. And mine just slipped off an edge, but we'll stop that from happening once we hot glue pieces on. So I love that. The end. Here's my first end. And then I'm going to hot glue a pretty good amount on there. Again, if you choose to touch hot glue, lick your fingers first and gently dab. It won't stick to you. It won't be as hot. It keeps it clear and nice looking on the back. Look how nice that looks. So that will hold for sure. And then just to keep those in place, because I don't want them all to slip off, I'm going to put some glue here and here. That would be a bummer if you get them all set in place and then they all just slipped off. That wouldn't be any fun. Okay. You guys, I cannot even begin to imagine the different varieties and colors you guys are going to make these. They're going to be so perfect. And you get to have them out for like 3 months. Because this is September. And you now now have plenty of time. Okay, there's that. I might take, let's see, I've never made one of these before, but I have it in my head. So let's see if it'll work out. Like this and this. I'm going to tie kind of similar to what I just did, but there's that. I'm going to dovetail them again, both pieces. Oops, about dovetailed the wrong way. That happens. Okay, and here we have like a little, I don't know, star thingy. And even part of my burlap tore apart, but look how cute. Just pull it. Just pull the burlap apart. And look what we get. This fun little duty here. He looks like a twirly flower thing. And I love him. And I think it's going to go like right there. Ta-da! Okay. So that is that. Now we get to do the fun part of making the tassel for the end of our beaded garland. So this is, get a lot of your twine out for this. You're going to need a lot of it. Which again, I gave you tons, which is awesome. And you're going to need a lot of it, but not all of it. You'll have tons left over. Ugh, dirty stuff. Okay. Excellent. Okay. We are going to make our tassel end. So start folding it around your hands like this and making a big fluffy pile of twine. Do that nice and evenly. You may have another way that you've made tassels before, and you can surely follow that. There's lots of ways to do it. This is just the way that I prefer. The more jute you use, the fluffier it's going to be, so that's just all total preference. Okay, I kind of like that. Feels like a pretty good amount. And I'm just going to cut this off. You can cut the stray ones off too, but we can fix those later, so don't worry about them too much. Okay, you have a nice roll of jute right there. Take an end of another piece of jute and make it, I don't know, 10 inches or so. And tie up one end of it nice and tight. You're going to need to be able to access this end and this hole, okay? So make sure that that stays nice and clean. Now we need another good length. Oh, that's not the end. this, we're just going to wrap it around this top piece a bunch of times, just like that. I'm going to switch in so I can go much faster around this. Okay, so that's a pretty good knot right there. Go ahead and cut that, and then just hot glue down the end of that knot. See the beginning one that I started with right there is poking out, so I'm going to smooth him down too. I don't want that to come apart. Okay, now for our tassel end, we're just going to cut right through all of these, and we will have a fluffy tassel at the end. Voila! Look at that. Bet you never thought you'd be able to make that, but you just did. You did it. Okay, we will set that little guy aside and attach him to the end of our beaded garland once we have that finished. So be back with your dried beads, and remember, now that we've had a chance for the beads to dry a little bit, when you take them up, just like this, if they're dry on the top right now, but if you peel them up and there's exposed paint, this is not the end of the world either, because once they're next to the beads, you won't even see this part. But if you'd like to take a paintbrush and just tidy that up, you can do that and then set it up to let dry on that end. So that can be fixed just like that. And it will probably stick to the cardboard or whatever surface you're using, but just flip them over and touch them up with the paintbrush and it will be perfect. So I will see you back ready to make the beaded garland once the beads are dry. See you in a minute. Okay, back with the beads. So let's start beading our garland. We are going to take the rest of the jute, not all of it. Mine is a disaster. I hope yours isn't this big of a disaster, but quite possibly could be. So I'm going to take about I want longer than shorter because I can always cut it down. I cannot add to it. So I'm going to take a pretty good chunk and I'm going to double it up. So I want double the thickness of the jute going through my beads. So I really want to make sure it's nice and thick. So there's about my length. I'd say 36 inches, maybe 3 feet, a little bit. Now I do have to put the leaf on, so it does have to go in the center. I'm going to attach it by, that way you can attach it however you want. I'm going to put him on that way. And then, so the leaf will be my end. And then I'm going to take these two ends and put some hot glue on it. And it's going to make it nice and stiff for us to bead or string the beads. But let this hot glue sit for a minute and then we're going to roll it in our fingers a little bit. I'm loving this look. Again, lick your fingers. If this is too big, it will not go through the beads, so make sure it's nice and thin. Okay, so there's my rolled piece. Go ahead and roll out a piece, kind of like putting a, what are they called on the end of a shoelace? One of those. It's a really, egglet? Egglet? I don't remember. It was on Phineas and Ferb and my kids always say it. At this end, I'm going to tie a knot Just keeps my leaf down there. Super cute. Okay. And I'm going to start stringing beads. And I'm just going to go green, ivory, brown, and in that order. You may do whatever order you would like. Okay, got them all beaded. There is the beaded garland. And I have just a teeny tiny bit left. And I have 2 beads left. Totally can put them on. Nobody's ever going to notice that you did 2 browns or whatever you ended up if you didn't end up even. Now, we're going to attach our tassel piece. If you can fish the hard end back through, that works, but if you cannot, then we'll tie it through a different way, and you can always glue it. So there, I got it back through, and now I'm just going to take these loose ends and tie it to my glued end. I have like hardly anything to work with. I kind of measured that just right, but if I had the option, I would go a little bit longer, just to give myself a little bit more length, but it worked out. And now that I have mine built, I can tell you guys an exact measurement, which you'll notice is on your instructions. Okay, so our tassel is tied on. Just securely tie it a couple ways so it does not go anywhere. And then you have little spiky ends, but before you cut the spiky ends, just dab a little bit of glue on that knot, and then that ensures that that knot will stay put together and that you won't have any problems, because you don't want that knot to come apart the second you untie those short ends. It's coming together. Ah! One last piece. Let's peel this up. Take an X-Acto knife, or you can just take your fingernail and get that inside of the A out. Easy enough. I'm going to sand on this for just a second. Okay, and as you can see, I just sanded a little bit on each of the pumpkins. You can go back and do that. Probably should have done that before I added my ribbons, but I think I got too excited about the ribbons to remember that I wanted to do that. But here is our completed project. I hope that looks good from your side because I can't see it. And there it is. We will see you next month, and remember, it's Gnome-tober, and you are not going to want to miss this. But wait, would you like a sneak peek? There it is. Look at that little guy. And you will notice, if you're just joining us for this month and you get this next month's project, we have changed our packaging, and this is our new packaging. So, Gnome-tober, it's gonna be super exciting, and I can't wait to share it with you. So make sure you join us. You will not want to miss out. Thanks for joining us. Again, my name is Christine. Join us on our VIP Facebook group. We would love to see your completed projects and the creative spin you put on it. See you next time. Bye.